Hello, everybody. I am so excited for this debate today. If you know, artificial intelligence is an incredibly hot topic that we can talk about all day long. And so we are going to have a debate on the pros and cons of using AI in artificial intelligence. As I'm sure you're aware, artificial intelligence is a transformative technology. And with any transformative technology comes both the good and the bad. So I'm so excited to have with me today in this debate where we're going to be exploring both the pros and cons of AI in project management and what that means. I'm joined today by Lenka Pincot, who is the Chief of Staff at Project Management Institute, who will be debating on the pros of using AI in project management, and Lavagnon Ika, who is Professor of Project Management at University of Ottawa, and he'll be debating on the cons of using AI in project management.
Hello.
Hi.
It will not look like it, but we are actually friends.
For sure.
Handshake before.
Nice
Whatever
to see
happens.
you again, Lenka.
It's a friendly debate. I'm sure it's going to be very thought-provoking. So this is a quick 30-minute debate. I'm sure we could be debating this for many hours. So with that, we're going to get started, and we want to frame the discussion. So as I mentioned, Lenka is on the side of pro AI and project management, and I'll let her get started with her opening arguments, and then I'll move on to Lavagnon.
Thank you, Kikni. If you don't mind, I stand, because this is such a huge stage, and you are so far away, so hope you don't mind when I engage you a little bit. So I'm here to speak in favor of artificial intelligence. So I'm a big fan of artificial intelligence, of course. But I also have to say that this technology can be deceiving sometimes, right? Because especially with generative AI, it became so easy for us to use that. And I know that Pierre asked before, who's using AI? So I know that a lot of you. But for instance, who's using AI to help you with your social media presence? Having the smart AI pretending that it's you. Thank you for the courage. Thank you for transparency. Yeah, because sometimes you look at AI, it's like, hey, AI, could you please make me smarter here on stage at DIPMF because I didn't have time to prepare? Right, so we all do that, so we all love AI. But I would also say that despite great benefits of this technology, we need to keep learning. It is still technology. There are still algorithms behind this. And the better we understand how this technology actually works, the better we will be equipped for the future. Because this technology is progressing very far, and I dare to say that we don't even know yet what will be the implications of this technology on our lives, on our work, on our societies. So I'm very happy for this debate, and I would just say keep learning, because this technology is going to stay, it's not going away, we will need to learn how to live with it, so let's make it a good friend of us.
Okay, well said, Lenka. So if I hear you well, I'm going to suggest that you are a Pollyanna, and you take in the rosy kind of point of view when it comes to AI. So I'm going to take a slightly different view and call it Cassandra, if you want, okay? And then I'm going to suggest that, not everything will be good about AI. In fact, AI would lead to many project failures and some business disasters, and if not, some apocalypse for society as well. So why am I saying so? Well, people like Pollyanna will tell you that, or Lenka for that matter, they will tell you that everything will be fine with AI. AI will face project management because, it's broken to some extent. And on top of it, they will tell you that, they might make project management great again, okay? But in reality, things are a little bit tougher than that, and we are to face a few challenges.
All right, that's wonderful. Thank you for framing the discussion. So we're going to get started with our first debate question, and we'll go to side pro to get started. Can and should AI be used to improve efficiency and productivity in project management?
Thank you, Kathleen. So great question, and as you said, it has two parts. can AI increase productivity of project management, and should it? So when we look at our data that we tracked and collect as PMI with our proprietary research, we see that there is an increasing number of project professionals who use generative AI for their daily jobs. And based on our research, we also know that these professionals, especially those who use AI a lot, we call them trailblazers, they report high efficiency and productivity gains. So I would say, yes, it's already happening. And I know that if you look at this topic, you will see many other organizations, Google, Microsoft, others, that can confirm that we have productivity gains by using AI in our jobs. But then the other question is, should we do that? So I will just ignore Lavagnon's personal attacks on Pollyanna Lenka, but I will say, why not? Why we should not use these opportunities to improve our productivity. But I would also say, do not do it blindly. At PMI, we distinguish between three main use cases, categories of use cases of use AI on project management. We call them automation, assistance, and augmentation. So automation is something where you believe that you can really fully delegate your low value-added task to a machine with minimal oversight. Assistance, that means that you need to give their oversight. Imagine like a junior colleague helping you with your project management, so you also don't let them make major decisions. And then augmentation, this is something that kind of like gives you a pair of extra hands, extends you, but it's mostly you who's making all the decisions and needs to have all the knowledge. So if you use AI responsibly, and again, understand how it actually works, then it can be really a great helper. So I would say it can increase productivity. We have data proving that. We should use it as well. But again, understand what is the value that you will get by that tool and how much oversight you need to keep if you use this tool.
Perfect. Wonderful. And now,
Okay,
side con.
Excellent points. I'm going to surprise you, Lenka, by saying that you're right to suggest that AI automation will help project managers in terms of routine tasks such as project scheduling, monitoring, and tracking. So that's a great point, and nobody will deny that, by the way. But there is a but. The but is that this sort of plug-and-play AI, however, is not going to solve many of the problems that we have in the project management field. And I would suggest that we do have problems such as critical thinking skills that we need to invest in. We have problems such as taking care of our own imaginative nature. We need to make sure that creativity is being tapped when it comes to deliver large-scale projects. So I was thinking about the Burj Khalifa Tower, and the architect would suggest that, anytime you have to deliver these large-scale projects, then you need to be waiting for some sort of new set of problems, and you need to solve them. I don't think that AI automation will solve these kind of problems. And over time, if project managers over-rely on AI, then they become a little bit complacent, they become lax and perhaps lazy, and that's not good for their own resourcefulness.
All right, wonderful. Next question. Given the well-documented issue of bias in data used to train AI models, should project managers rely on AI-driven decisions, or is the risk of bias and incomplete data too significant to justify its use? Let's start with Khan.
Thanks a lot, Kathleen. So the issue is simple. AI, I need to confess, is particularly good when it comes to data collection and analysis, and it's great when it comes to its predictive analytics capacity. And I'm quite sure, Leinka will point that out for sure. Okay, now, that being said, having been involved in the great debate in my field about whether biases such as over-optimism, trump errors such as, making honest planning mistakes, I must confess that AI has a role to play here in terms of benchmarking and the tools such as reference class forecasting, though I don't like these sort of tools because they have limitations. But guess what is happening? Paradoxically, AI will add to errors and biases in the sense that AI is not immune to making mistakes. And in terms of biases, Garbage in, garbage out. Because AI is only good as the intel is given. And who trained these AI chatbots? Human beings with their biases. So AI systems such as machine learning, they do operate in a black box. So we don't understand how they draw conclusions, and that's an issue. And perhaps, some people might say that explainable AI can help us get there, but let us wait and see.
All right.
Okay, so let us wait and see. Thank you, Lavagnon, for all these great starting points. I'm having a lot of fun in this debate. Is anyone having fun too?
For sure.
Right. So let's break it down a little bit, the bias. AI is biased. So let me ask you a question. Who created AI? Who created algorithms? People. Who trained all these learning models? People. Who provided data for AI? People. So is AI biased or we are biased? We people are biased, so let's not blame it on technology. That's the first thing. When you go just to Wikipedia and just Google simply how many documented human biases we have, let me do a check. Who from you in the audience believe that we as people have more than 50 documented biases in our thinking? More than 50. I want to see a lot of hands because I can tell you this number is still very low. Who believes that we have more than 100 documented biases? Okay, don't be shy, raise your hand. Who believes there's more than 150 documented biases? Smart people in the audience, it's 180 at least. So these are all the biases that indeed can get into AI, but that's why I said it's very important to learn and understand how all these models are actually trained. We have supervised learning, which means that we as people, we essentially provide labeled data on which the AI learns. So if it's an apple, I say it's an apple, and this is how the model learns. Then we have unsupervised learning, which means that we ask AI to detect patterns. So if we provide biased data, of course, the patterns can be detected in biased way. And then the hardest learning, it's called reinforced, which means AI is learning by trial and error. So there is a bias because we bring it in there, but it's a risk that we as human beings, we create it, but we can also manage, we can control by having diverse teams working on AI projects, by having good set of data, rigorous data, and by having a really rigorous testing procedures. So nothing to be afraid of. We only need to do our job properly to minimize this risk of bias.
Wonderful. There's been a big theme throughout many of the panels and keynote sessions today around power skills. So our next question is going to focus on that. What are the implications of AI on power skills, such as communication, critical thinking, which I know you even touched upon a few of these before, and collaboration when it comes to project management? Lavagnon, we'll start with you.
Thanks a lot, Kathleen. So for lack of time, I'm not going to rebound on the bias stuff that Lenka was talking about, but let us leave that aside for the moment and focus on, power skills. So, Arsene Wenger, this morning was talking about the fact that coaches or managers are overburdened with information. And that's a fact. So, I was reading a Harvard Business Review article, and the Gartner survey suggested that about 30% of managers feel overwhelmed by information or overloaded, if not overburdened. So think about things like emails and direct messaging coming from LinkedIn and Twitter, for instance. So they will tell you that the supporters or proponents of AI will tell you that AI summarization tools such as Slack AI can help big time. Yes, they are right. As the late Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman and colleagues will suggest, you have noise there, and Slack AI can help in terms of dealing with that noise. So I fully concur with this sort of assessment. But the issue is that AI has a massive problem, and that problem has a name. It's myopia. It lacks foresight, and it lacks context. Because it lacks foresight, then you can't expect AI to create a low-burden information culture for you. And because it lacks context, it might not be that effective when it comes to communications and the so-called power skills that we're talking about. So very quickly, let me read you the kind of guidance that Dropbox, for instance, is giving to their employees. So Slack can be noisy, so it's easy to miss important things and forget to respond. So if something is critically important for you, try email. So isn't that bizarre? Okay, so to fix the email noise problem, you need Slack AI, but to fix the Slack AI noise problem, you need email. So there's something out there. So, I would suggest that project managers they need not trust AI, and they need not wear rose-colored glasses and think that AI will do the job for them. If they do that, it's just daydreaming, or they will fail.
All right, well, we're going to move to the pro side and hear the rebuttal.
Right, power skills. Yep. So what are the power skills? We actually did a research as PMI in 2023 in one of our Pulse of the Professions report to understand what are the 4 key power skills for project managers to be successful at their jobs. So it was collaboration, strategic thinking, creativity, and problem solving. So now if I just stick to the topic, which is AI in project management, I would ask myself, can AI help with that? So for instance, just a basic thing as communication. We are here at this international conference. I really apologize, I do not speak Arabic, but what I can do, just from my phone, I can pick up my phone and I just ask for real-time AI translation. By the way, this is a hint to organizers. At some regions, they use that. They use this real-time AI translation. It's like a panel on the side of the stage, and then everybody can use that. So this is a great help for communication to help us understand each other better. So that's one case. Another case, when I think about project management, is really using generative AI for summarizing of information and avoiding that information overload. Another use case, which is already in use and it's embedded in many project management softwares, applications, is this little helper. For instance, it checks who are your team members that are typically performing certain tasks, your experts, so it suggests looking for a task in Jira, for instance, to assign a software architect or a solution architect. Someone is like, okay, it's probably Kathleen, it's probably Lavagnon, so it saves my time, it helps. It tells me, Lenka, I think you forgot to attach an attachment, a file. So for that, collaboration, strategic thinking is very helpful. Now, for innovation and creativity, very interesting. We have documented use cases, then AI is used to scan across academic journals to look for, we can call like industry crossover topics, and then connects learning from different industries that leads to innovation. That's very helpful, very useful, because that is difficult for us to even know what we search for. Another, and I see your eyes, Wall Street Journal just very recently published an article how AI is used to help with innovation and creativity by fast testing of new concepts. So again, AI cannot be creative on our behalf. I agree with that. But it can help us to test our ideas faster or to even come up with ideas that we can then look at them and say, hey, it's worth some time to dig deeper in that.
Wonderful. All right, Lenka, we'll start with Pro for the next question. Can AI be customized to fit the specific needs of different projects and industries? I know that you touched upon this a little in both of these answers, but let's dig into it more.
Yeah, so because I see this timer, and the timer is just tick, 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 so I will be very brief with this.
Very brief on these ones.
Totally, of course, yes. Before I joined PMI, I actually work in financial industry, so we were using AI in our own field, in banking, for fraud detection, for generating business opportunities. These are all, for consumer customization and personalization, so that when you use your mobile app, it knows that it's you, it knows what you typically do, what are your favorite bank accounts, etc. So all these use cases, personalization, industry specification, etc. This is all possible. It's already in use for a couple of years. How do you get to that data? You just need to train your models on proper data sets. At PMI, we have our tool, which is called Infinity. By the way, free for all PMI members. I hope we have a ton of them here in the room. If not, check our website for membership. And you know, this Infinity tool, that's based on our vetted sources and resources on project management, and also of our partners from Agile Alliance, from Green Project Management. And so it's, again, a very specific use of AI for project management topics. So the answer is yes.
All right, great. and the con side.
So great point, Lenka.
Thank you. We can stop here. It's enough to say.
Yes, but there is a but. So you should expect that, right? So basically, we have a problem, and that problem has a name. One-size-fits-all trap. Many projects fall into that trap, as you know. So it's good news that you're thinking in terms of custom AI instead of ready-to-use AI. So that's good news. But the issue is that plug-and-play AI, such as ChatGPT, will not help you get there when it comes to deliver large-scale projects. And you know that, Lenka, right? I trust you, and I trust your experience. So because these sort of plug-and-play AI tools, they can't deal with the intricacies, the complexities, and the uncertainties that large-scale projects require. And AI, like I said, has a massive myopia problem as it lacks foresight and context. So when it comes to the delivery of these large-scale projects, you know, one thing that project managers are great at, or the great project managers are great at, is that they make the best of the evolving context. Things happen during the delivery of projects. So do you really think that custom AI will face these issues and help them navigate these troublesome situations? That's the question I'm asking. So basically, I would suggest that AI is good when it comes to hindsight, but in terms of foresight, I would doubt.
All right. We cannot have a debate on AI without talking about ethical uses of AI. So we'll start with the con side. What ethical considerations should be taken into account when implementing AI in project management?
That's a great question. So, you know, we need to be thinking, in my view, in terms of fairness and transparency. But again, we agree on a point. Our society is biased. We human beings are biased. You said that yourself, Lenka. So the question is, how can we expect AI to face these issues in society? So we would think that a calibrated AI would help us, you know, deal with bias and discrimination, for instance, give equal voice to project stakeholders throughout projects. But guess what? Like I said before, AI is good as the training is given. So this training is coming from whom? Certain experts in certain organizations, in certain languages, and in certain countries. So you see the problem. So I'm not quite sure that AI algorithms are good when it comes to dealing with, you know, gender bias, race bias, and language bias, because, you know, the internet is being dominated by English. So even in terms of transparency, I already said that AI has a black box problem in terms of transparency. And on top of that, we might have a social manipulation problem as well, where people will use some nasty stakeholders and coalitions will use, you know, AI and other tools to manipulate truth with misinformation and disinformation on TikTok, for instance, or, you know, other social media. And finally, very quickly, you know, AI project may be ethically or morally wrong, and you know that, especially in the hands of bad peoples. And this is the reason why, you know, people like Jeffrey Hinton and Elon Musk are raising alarm bells on that point. So as the Apple CEO, Tim Cook, said, we need to use AI for the benefit, not the detriment of humanity. And the final point on that account, Kathleen, you know, if we don't do well, we risk falling into what sociologists will call anomia of success, which is a societal disease which robs projects from their meaning and therefore make projects harm humanity. I'm going to stop there.
All right.
Okay.
This has been such a wonderful discussion. So now, before we wrap up our closing arguments, I hope that this has been incredibly thought-provoking and that it lets you come away with what are really the pros and cons and makes you have your own internal debates on this. So we're going to wrap it up with closing discussions from both the pro and the con side. So we started with the pro side, so we're going to start with the con side right now. So Lavagnon, it's all yours.
So, you know, project leaders, here is my takeaway for you. So at the time when AI automation is booming, like Lynka observed in the world of projects, What might help you is rather AI augmentation, so I agree with you on that one, where machines and human beings will collaborate to solve some of the world's deepest struggles, including climate change and unsustainable development. And the second point that I would like to make is that to this end, it's not plug-and-play AI that we need. It's going to be situated or custom AI solutions. And as well, we need to work on the bias stuff that we have been discussing. We need a calibrated AI, and we also need to make sure that projects contribute to a better world. AI might be good under risk, not necessarily under uncertainty. And the final thing that I would like to say is twofold. AI is not your best bet when it comes to overcoming project challenges or to win or stumble into success, name it. Your resourcefulness is. And finally, do not trust Pollyanna like Lenka or Cassandra like me, okay? Be a Janus and harness the potential of AI to make the world a better place when no one is left behind.
All right, and I will let Pro follow that up. All right, yes. Thank you for that closing argument.
Thank you, Lavagnon, and thank you for another nickname, Pollyanna. I love that. Okay, so Kathleen.
It sounds like Lenka.
Kathleen, when you were introducing me, you mentioned my master's degree in computer sciences, right?
Yes, Lenka has a master's in computer science.
Yeah.
Right, because one thing that I really disagree, Lavagnon, and I'm surprised that you say here when you say AI is a black box, it's not. AI is not a black box. AI is technology that was created. There are algorithms like natural learning processing, etc. There are models, neural networks behind that. And what we need to do to deal with AI efficiently, we need to understand that. So for instance, the last question where I didn't have any chance to answer was about ethics. So let me just use one example. Everybody probably heard about that massive fail in 2014 with AI that was used for hiring process at Amazon. Because what happened was that Amazon hiring process chatbot or something was actually preferring men to get the job. Now, why was that? That AI was not programmed to pick up men over women. Because, as we said, we have three types of learning: machine learning, supervised, unsupervised, and reinforced. That was an example of unsupervised learning where basically this model was trained mostly on male resumes. And then AI picked up a pattern that when you are a man, you have a better chance to get a job, and that's why it was recommended man. So this is what I mean by understanding how technology works. And all these are algorithms, neural networks, a little bit more complicated than our 1 + 1 = 2, still understandable. Now, what we can do about that as a society, we clearly need to understand, learn, experiment, but we also need some regulation. So for instance, European Union is introducing a regulation that if you don't train your hiring models where you use AI properly, you can be fined up to 7% of your revenue, which is quite a big threat and should really make us think about using AI responsibly and understanding how to train our models. UNESCO, together with Reuters Foundation, is just launching a new project about surveying organizations and understanding how they can protect themselves and societies by responsible use of AI. They are just starting with that, but again, another great initiative how to support responsible development of this technology for our benefit as human beings. So it's a technology. And as Pierre said in his speech just a few minutes ago, we still bear the accountability responsibility. So let's not blame it on AI. Let's blame it on us. And if we see that we do something wrong, let's fix it by diverse teams, by better data sets, by rigorous testing, and our own accountability and responsibility when we work with this technology. So this is how I would like to close. And thank you for this debate, Lavagnon.
Well done.
All right, well, thank you both for such a lively debate and discussion on the use of AI in project management.
Thank you, Kathleen.